Hello, Justin Zarni here, Democratic Elections Commissioner for Onondaga County. Welcome to Commissioner to Car, and it's Presidential Primary Eve and start a petition filing. Also April Fool's Day, and I'm not going to do any April Fool's jokes because, well, I'm too tired. Because so many things are going on in the world of elections in New York right now, and we're all being pulled in like 7 different directions. But after this week, things might start coming into play. So let me tell you about what's going on the presidential primary. We'll start there. We've had our early voting period. We've had our absentee voting period and early vote by mail. All of those have gone out, although emergency absentees are still available tomorrow. We've had about 1,200 early voters and about 2,000 or so absentee/early vote by mail ballots returned in the presidential primary. So now all that's left is Election Day, and that's tomorrow, 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. statewide, the Democratic and Republican presidential primary. And you may say, why are we doing this? And we've talked about that a couple of times on the podcast, but the Gothamist just put out an article today. Pretty good article. Bridget Bergen, a really good reporter, talking about the background of that. Yeah, Google it. You'll see Andrew Yang is the reason why we cannot just cancel a presidential primary after the race has already been decided. We have to go through with it. So we will have 126 polling places open tomorrow. About 21 polling places were not used this election. They are schools. We were able to find nearby polling places that work for a low turnout election like this one. And so your polling place may have changed. You would have gotten a letter in the mail. But if you're not sure where your polling place is, go to onvote.net. You can look up your registration, look up if you're registered in a party, look up your polling place, and go vote tomorrow. If you have an absentee sitting around your house or early vote by mail ballot sitting around your house that you have not turned in, you have to turn it in tomorrow or put it in the mail and make sure it's postmarked tomorrow for your ballot to count. If you have moved since the last time that you voted, you may have to vote by affidavit ballot. Again, check your registration at onvote.net. And if your registration is wrong, that means that you haven't updated your address with us since the last time you moved, and you may have to vote by affidavit. If you give us a call, 315-435-VOTE, we'll be happy to tell you where you have to report to and how you have to do your affidavit ballots. You should go to your new polling place, although the ballot will count if you go to your old one, especially in this election where it's a countywide ballot. That being said, the law is that you're supposed to go to the new polling place, and that's the proper way to cast your ballot. Finally, a lot of times we get calls at the Board of Election about rides to the polls and that kind of political stuff. We don't do that at our Onondaga County Board of Elections. That is not our role. That's the roles of the party. So contact your individual party headquarters. Maybe they'll have rides going. It's kind of a low turnout election. There's not really campaigns working because all of the campaigns, besides Joe Biden and Donald Trump, have suspended their campaigns, although Marianne Williamson suspended her campaigns and reanimated it. So, but because of that, and both Donald Trump and Joe Biden having locked up the delegates needed for their nominations and are assumed to be the presidential nominees of their parties, there's been a lot less turnout than expected when we set the election back in February. Actually, we set the election. The legislature set the election back in June of last year, not knowing where anything was going to end up. But it was in February was the last time the candidates could have pulled out and canceled the election, and they did not do so. And of course, we had to set our early voting slots. It was that's why there's a lot more resources that may be out there for an election that is low turnout, is because we had to do that back in February. So when there were contested races on the ballot, and once you set these things by law, you can't change them. So the last thing is results. For results by congressional district or statewide, you're going to want to go to the State Board of Elections website, elections.ny.gov. For results in Onondaga County, you can go to our website, onvote.net, and we will have our results in Onondaga County up. Now, a lot of people, I'm just going to put this out there so I don't get a lot of calls. The blank ballot move that is out there about, the Democratic primary, there is no counting group for blank ballots for election night results. That usually waits till certification. On the Onondaga County website, our system does support letting you know what's called a void, which means a ballot that is not counted. Either it's a blank ballot or it's a ballot that is has what you would normally have. So if that happened, then it would be a void ballot. So there's really no way to tell how many people cast a blank ballot. It's just not part of New York election law. It's not part, and the New York State Board of website will not have that on there at all. They only have ballots cast for candidates on election night results. You won't know those other details until certified election results come up about 2 or 3 weeks from now. So I just wanted to put that out there before I get calls on that. I do not endorse doing blank ballots. I made a choice in this election. I make a choice in every election, and I think you should too. But it's your right to go to the polls and not cast a ballot and just put it in the machine. You have that right to do that. So there's that. Now, the other thing that's going on right now is today's April Fool's Day, and that is ironically the start of petition filing days in New York. And why do I say ironically? Because I like to joke that April Fool's Day is when we find out who's actually running for office and not. Because in New York, you have to do petitions to run for office. You have to get so many signatures, and sometimes up to 2,000 signatures to be able to run for office. And if you don't get those numbers of signatures, you're not actually running. And at least on the established 4-party lines, Democrat, Republican, Conservative, and Working Families, most of those offices are being filled by petitions this year. And we have from April 1st to April 4th for people to file those petitions. Now, most of those petitions are filed at the New York State Board of Elections website or office in Albany this year. Why? Well, Congress, both of our state Senate districts, and 2 out of our 4 assembly districts, they all cross into other county lines. And when it crosses into another county line, then they must be filed at the New York State Board of Elections office in Albany. Now, for family court, for city court, and for the 2 assembly districts that are inside Onondaga County, Holy, Pam Hunter's, and Bill Magnarelli's, those petitions will get filed at our office. And usually the Tuesday of the filing periods are always Monday through Thursday, and usually Tuesday of the filing period is the busiest day for filing petitions. It also happens to be election day. So there's a lot going on at our Board of Elections. But we do expect those things to be filed. And by next Monday, I will know who has actually filed petitions to run for office and where the primaries will be in June. So watch for that update on next Monday in Commissioner in a Car. But those petitions filing periods are today. For the filing that is on in Onondaga County on our website, we will have a spreadsheet that we upload that tells you who has filed petitions in our office. There are a couple of towns, Manlius and Lysander, Democrats, that will file petitions. There's about 4 or 5 towns on the Republican side: Manly, Lysander, Onondaga, Marcellus, and I think a couple others that have Republican openings that will be filing petitions in our website. Some of those are like the town of Onondaga and Marcellus, and they are what's known as caucus towns for the Democrats. So they fill those offices by caucus, which will happen later in July. Or, well, it could happen anywhere up to later in July. So we'll see what happens there with those. But those things are happening as well. And then, of course, the state board has their own filing system for the offices filed up there. So a lot is going on. And in addition to that, I've had depositions for our redistricting lawsuit against Onondaga County and been named in a lawsuit on the even year bill. All of this happening the last 3 weeks. We got finished with our hand counts of the village elections. So it's actually been one of the busiest marches that I've had here at the Onondaga County Board of Elections, and the staff has been incredible. The staff has really pulled through, covered for me when I was being pulled in 3 or 4 different directions. So thanks, staff, for getting that done. Because without the staff there at the Board of Elections, a lot of stuff wouldn't get done. So, but that's where we're at. Now, I'm going to go to bed soon because I'm going to get up at 3:30 to administer this election. It's my honor to administer any election in Onondaga County, and thank you for allowing me to do so. It's a 17-hour day for most election officials, so please, if you haven't voted yet, go out and vote. Make it easier for these inspectors and our staff to know that we are working towards a better good tomorrow by making it as busy as possible. And that's all I got for you today. I've been horrible about my content schedule. I'm not gonna lie. I've just been overwhelmed with all of that stuff that I was telling you about going on in March. But I promise April is gonna change. I am gonna get this content out, and I'm gonna start getting some of my content out. So I really hope my long-awaited Zoom with Zarni with the Brennan Center, Joanne Zadis, will get out on Friday. And then I'll be doing a weekly wonk on the village elections this weekend coming up. I'm going to get back on my schedule, my thrice-a-week schedule, because I enjoy it, and I know some of you enjoy it as well. So go to justinzarni.com, like and subscribe. You can always get an email notification for any time I post anything on there. I've been a part of a lot of articles in the last few weeks. So, those go up there along with content. It's always free. I pay for it myself. I never take ad money. I'll never charge a subscription as part of my public education as your role as your Democratic Elections Commissioner. So thank you very much, and enjoy your week. But get out and vote tomorrow, 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Bye-bye.